About Barack Obama doing this big deal. Just months before he's leaving office, just months before everyone talked about the fact that Barack Obama is a failed president. Barack Obama is not managing to control the Middle East. Barack Obama is the president that managed to destroy each and every relationship that the United States has with the Middle East. Comes Barack Obama with this big deal and says, you know what? That's it. I'm putting an end to all the saga, and I'm doing the biggest deal in the history of the world.
Yeah, well, you asked about who's the big winner. So at least in the short run, we don't know what's going to happen 10 years, 15 years down the road, right? History will judge whether he is still a big winner then. But at least in the short run, it seems like Barack Obama is able to get the signature achievement in foreign policy that he was seeking for so long. But we have to remember that he's doing that his own way. So if you remember, he won the Peace Nobel Prize about a month after he assumed office. Okay, so I mean, he won it later on in 2009, right? But he was announced a month after he assumed office, and the reason why he won that was because of his approach to international relations. And the idea was to form coalitions, to use diplomacy with a potential threat of a military action, but ideally without using military action.
And what a better way to justify your Nobel Prize by signing a deal with Iran.
Exactly, using those means.
So let's go back to Eli Ochenberg. Eli Ochenberg, are you still with us? Can you hear me now?
Yes, for 18 days I was, and I still am. Our equipment might be a bit tired, though.
So how are you? I think that after 18 days, 20 days, however time you are there, I think that everyone are satisfied, even the reporters, that they're finally coming back home.
Well, I wanted to start this report with a joke to tell you that the teams here are making some serious progress, but we lost connection, so it ruined my joke. But yes, this is it. It's all over. They have a deal. I'm glad you liked it. And it really was, there was the sense of almost a graduation day here today. The logistics teams, the journalists, of course, the delegations, they were all very much excited, after long 22 months of negotiations, and especially the last couple of weeks here in Vienna of hectic negotiations, many hurdles, really the nuclear roller coaster. And today it is finally done. We have a deal. It's only the beginning of this agreement. There are still many challenges ahead, whether it's the U.S. Congress or the Iranian Parliament. But this phase is complete, the most crucial phase. We have a deal, and it seems that all sides are very satisfied. They said today, as you know, it's not just a deal, but a good deal, the best possible deal they could have achieved. And this atmosphere, this positive atmosphere, definitely is surrounding Vienna today.
You know, Eli, I want to take you back to our conversations that we had during these last 18 days. And you've been talking a lot about the fact that there is no Israeli media there. The Israeli media just arrived there only 2 days ago. The Israeli media, basically Israel was not on the table. Not only that Israel was not on the table, only the Iranian media was present in these talks. So what was the reaction of the Iranian media today in the middle of the night when you SMS'd me and you told me, Lucy, we are probably going to see an announcement at 5 a.m. in the morning? I'm not going to catch you up on that, but what was their reaction?
Well, yes, I think that at the end of the day, the lack of Israeli media here symbolizes the lack of Israeli influence, and we've been talking about it in the course of the last couple of weeks. During this time, the Iranian journalists got to know us a bit. I think that at the beginning they were a bit afraid. They didn't know really how to digest us. But again, I've been talking to you about it, the differences between the Iranian journalists who are based in Tehran or in other areas in Iran, or the ones who live abroad, whether it's the U.S. or Europe. there's a tremendous difference. The one who lives abroad, whether if it's because a self-imposed exile or a forced exile, are much more open, much more communicative, and the ones who are still in Iran are a bit are more hesitated. But I can definitely say that they are very curious about the Israelis. Some of them shared with us our thoughts, and we've been saying that again in the last 18 days that they feel there is this even shared destiny between the Iranian people and the Israeli people. Others are again a bit more restrained, but there's great curiosity, and if this agreement will indeed open up Iran to the West, we can definitely expect a sense of closeness between the greatest enemies, Iran and Israel. Maybe they will not be such great enemies anymore, maybe even, God forbid, friends.
God forbid, friends. Eli Ochenberg, thank you very, very much. Of course, you will continue updating, and you better come back with a huge chunk of chocolate. Thank you very much for this.
Highly enriched Austrian chocolate. In special centrifuge.
I want to understand, is it a possible scenario that Israel might find itself cooperating or being friends with, I know that you wish, but
no, it's not a question of wish. We've tried, Lucy, we've tried. Iran, Khomeini came to power in '79. We sold them weapons to fight the Iraqis. They gave the weapons that we gave them to Hezbollah to kill our soldiers. For 14 years, they called for the elimination of the State of Israel. Israel did not say a word. We started saying all options are on the table at the beginning of the 90s. Please show me which other country in the world would sit quietly while another regime called for its elimination. In 1996, Netanyahu tried to reach out to the Iranians. We sent an agriculture delegation in 1999. We sent a reconstruction delegation in 2006 using Dutch laissez-passer. The Iranians knew exactly where these people came from. No, they've also done, for example, according to Yediot Ahronot, there was a minister of Iran came in 2000 to stay at one of the hotels on the Hilton, according to Yediot Ahronot. We've tried, we've bent over backwards. The governments, various governments have been interested, but the regime is not. Ayatollah Khamenei doesn't want better relations between Iran and Israel.
Why I'm saying this? Because this attitude, this specific attitude of Iran, we don't want, we are not willing. This is basically what played exactly into the hands of Israel. If Israel will see the opportunity to actually cooperate with somebody else in the region, to cooperate with Saudi Arabia, to cooperate with Gulf countries, and this can actually maybe work out for the benefit of Israel, if it will happen.
We have to remember that Israel is a great card used very skillfully by the Iranians, by the Iranian regime, sort of speaking. Israel doesn't have a conflict with the Iranian people. The Iranian regime ideologically is really hostile towards Israel, yet I'm always saying about this regime, this is a very extreme, dangerous regime, but it's not suicidal. He's using others to detonate themselves in his service. He's not doing that itself. He will not become a friend of the state of Israel, but he's definitely tuned to interests. The name of the game is interest, and the most important interest to this regime is the endurance of this regime. And I want to make a side note in that context, two things. One, in the context of Obama. Today what we saw was the stamping of the Obama legacy. Now the open question is, what kind of a legacy would it be? Would Obama be recorded in history as the one who can walk away and finally feel comfortable with the Nobel Prize he won? Or could he go away and be registered in history as the Neville Chamberlain of the 21st century? We don't know yet.
Udi Sommer?
Well, I think that we talk about different alliances here, right? And I think there's, apart from the hypothetical or theoretical alliance between Israel and Iran, there are two very important alliances here. One is between the United States and Iran, and the other one between Israel and the United States. So as far as the United States-Iranian relations are concerned, this deal was specifically very focused on the nuclear program. But beyond that, the interests of America and the energy-independent America in the Middle East are very different today, and Iran as an island of stability is something that the United States is building some of its future fortunes on, especially in its fight against the jihadists in the Middle East.
It's amazing that you're saying that, because we usually used to hear that Israel is an island of stability in the Middle East.
Right,
How come?
Khamenei rejected Obama's offer. Obama sent a secret letter, according to the Wall Street Journal, offering to cooperate against Daesh, and the Iranian supreme leader said no. Rouhani and others would have loved that. But in terms of cooperation, Obama tried. There have been some tactical cooperation between them, but the Americans are not letting the Iranians call the shots in Iraq regarding many issues, especially when it comes to attacking Daesh in some of the areas. Because as far as
that's debatable, especially if you think about the Shiites, the Shiites in Iraq who are fighting Daesh today. The Shiite militias are supported by Iran and are helped by, for instance, American Air Force. So
sorry, that's a mistake. When it came to Tikrit, the Tikrit, the Iranian regime and the Shia militia tried to attack. They couldn't take over, so the Shia militia had to pull back. So it was the Iraqi army and the U.S. Air Force.
Yeah, but it was true in several other places. There's Anbar province, which just started yesterday. There are cases
participating in
there are cases like Kobani, for instance. Okay, there are cases where there's definitely, even if it's not a direct cooperation, there are certainly cases where the two sides are benefiting from the same fight. But beyond that, there's the alliance between Israel and the United States, which is now over the summer is going to be highly at the focus of interest in Washington and in Jerusalem, in the sense that Netanyahu is planning to wage a campaign to try to have Senate stop the
talk about this, him going to the United States and how much it will cost Israel. But though the Israeli government has been very vocal against a deal, it is by no means alone. Across the Arab world has been mounting concerns over the closing between Iran and the West and the eventual deal. And while some say a deal will prevent an arms race, others believe it will do the exact opposite. Uri Shapira has more.
In May 2015, leaders of the Gulf countries gathered in Washington to meet with U.S. President Barack Obama. This extraordinary gesture by the American president had a clear message. The U.S. would not abandon its allies in the Gulf, even if negotiations on Iran's nuclear program ended in an agreement with Tehran.
I am reaffirming our ironclad commitment to the security of our Gulf partners. As we've declared in our joint statement, the United States is prepared to work jointly with GCC member states to deter and confront an external threat to any GCC state's territorial integrity that is inconsistent with the UN Charter.
Now that a deal on Iran's nuclear program has been reached, Gulf countries are adjusting to the new reality. A Saudi official told Reuters Tuesday that a nuclear deal with Iran will mean a happy day if it stops Iran from acquiring a nuclear arsenal, but a bad agreement would allow Tehran to wreak havoc in the region. Obama tried to ease the concerns of Iran's opponents.
That is precisely why we are taking this step. Because an Iran armed with a nuclear weapon would be far more destabilizing and far more dangerous to our friends and to the world.
Relations between Saudi Arabia and Iran have been on the collision course recently after the two countries became involved in the conflict in Yemen, a war between Tehran-backed Shiite Houthi rebels who took over major areas in the country, and opposing them, a Saudi-led coalition. Meanwhile, in Syria, President Bashar al-Assad welcomed the agreement, suggesting he expects Iran to increase its support in its fight in the Syrian civil war once the deal is implemented. Iran is one of Assad's biggest allies in the region and a supporter of the Shiite group Hezbollah, now helping Assad's forces in their battle against extremist jihadist groups like the Islamic State and the Al-Nusra Front. As it stands now, it is uncertain who the deal will strengthen and by how much. But it does seem that the balance of power in the Middle East may change a day after the deal is signed.
Okay, there is somebody else who accompanied us in all this time, is Dr. Ali Nourizadeh, Director, Center of the Iranian and Arab Studies. Good evening. Good to have you back with us.
Good evening.
So, Dr. Nourizadeh, in your opinion, what do you think about the current deal that basically brought an end to the nuclear deal of the nuclear program of Iran?
For a long time, I've been saying it in your program, in other places, that the deal is done. The question is how to put it, how to choose the wording. The Iranian side, they wanted to show to their people that they win. They had a great victory. And in order to achieve that, so they were negotiating with the American, let us have, at least the benefit of winning or something like this. The American, at the end of the day, they said, okay, as long as you are signing the deal, as long as you are giving such a concession, which makes us sure that you are not going to go back to your military nuclear program, then okay, we agree. But when I read it, when I went through the pages, I realized that the Americans were very clever. They didn't give the Iranian what they wanted, even in wording.
So Dr. Nourizadeh, who won, who lost in this deal?
The Iranian people, the international community. The Iranian regime is losing. I mean, the Iranian regime, first of all, in front of the Iranian people, for 14 years saying this nuclear program is a holy one. We would not allow anybody to touch it, that unholy hands to reach this program. But now we see they have given up almost everything. And at the end of the day, Iran from today is a different Iran. The regime lost its credibility even among its supporters.
Do you really think that the regime lost
there is pressure?
Do you really think that the regime actually lost its respect among the Iranian people? You don't think that Mohammad Javad Zarif and Rouhani are going to get back and basically be received in a really warm home welcoming?
No, we have quite few players. When we are talking about Rouhani and Zarif, the people deal with them in a different manner. They don't put them in the same place as they put Khamenei and Revolutionary Guards and all those commanders who are talking as, so big. They are talking about we are the greatest, strongest. Nobody can touch us. Even Mohsen Rezai a couple of nights ago said if the American attack us in 24 hours, we capture 1,000 Americans. So this sort of talking, this sort of, just pretending that they are the winner side, it's gone. The Iranian people, they are very clever people. They follow everything bit by bit.
Yes.
And they know what is in the deal. They know exactly what is in page by page.
Dr. Ali Nourizadeh, I expect you to, all this night, you have, I think, 159 pages to read, and come back to me tomorrow with specific answers about what is right and what is wrong in this.
We're going to quiz you. We'll do a test.
We will do a test, a quiz about it tomorrow. Dr. Ali Nourizadeh, thank you very, very much for this. We're going out for a